about the beginning, but what's up, everybody? It's RG John RG. Today we're reacting to Knocks at the Window creepypasta. It's from Mr. Nightmare, and yeah, this video was supposed to be uploaded yesterday, and I didn't upload because yesterday was trick or treating on Halloween, and I had trick or treat. I didn't have time. And so I owe y'all 3 videos. The first video is the scary one and 2 gaming videos tomorrow. Okay. If I forget, please comment my video saying you forgot video. You forgot video. And look there for Mr. Nightmare creepypastas. And yeah, let's get into these. 3, 2, 1.
The digital clock humming quietly on my nightstand was the only sound my ears could detect.
Okay.
The night was dead quiet.
Oh yeah, I'm in a dark room. I better not have nightmares. I better not.
Yet, I knew he was there. Right on schedule. He would be lurking there, outside my window.
Okay.
He would knock. For reasons I wish I could explain, would open the blinds, a sense of dread flooding my body. He would stare at me, and I would stare at him.
Okay, that's creepy.
He would leave soon after, and I would stay awake until the sun began to rise. This was our routine. My mind was wandering 1,000 miles away when he knocked that night. Though my eyes lingered on the window, I told myself I wouldn't open the blinds. I told myself that night he wouldn't scare me, and that I would get the rest that I so desperately needed. He knocked twice more. I grabbed a pillow, squeezing it tight over my head, and began humming some old nursery rhyme from a childhood which, at that moment, seemed so long ago. He knocked once again, and this time, it was a hell of a lot less courteous of a knock than usual. It morphed into a loud, thumping noise.
Goosebumps, guys.
I finally threw the pillow off my head and opened the blinds. His pale, wrinkly face leered in at me. His lifeless, black eyes that shone, despite their darkness, peered into my own. His stringy hair fluttered a little bit in the wind.
Just imagine this,
He seemed to be breathing somewhat harshly, and though it was hard to determine his mood as anything other than emotionless, I could sense an amount of animosity I had never felt before.
Oh my God.
After what seemed like hours, he turned around and was on his way. I faced the ceiling and wept. This had been going on for more than a month. I had tried to talk to others about it, but I could never finish my sentences.
Look at the background.
Just degrade into quiet mumblings and whispers.
I
was so tired.
Right?
And I had even begun to wonder if I was losing my mind.
I don't know. The background
I had tried sleeping pills, but even they couldn't help me to sleep through the night.
Look at the glass.
The weirdest part about it, though, is that I always...
Oh, sorry, guys. Anyway, keep reacting to this.
I always woke up about 5 minutes before he knocked. I knew instinctively that he would be there. I was so tired. The next night, I told myself that under no circumstances would I look out that window. I didn't care if he was on the verge of breaking the glass. I would not give him what he wanted. I would not feed him. He'd have to find someone else to haunt, someone else to steal sleep from. He'd have to leave me alone. I woke up and I instantly knew what was going to happen. It's funny, I always anticipated his knocks, and yet I still jumped a little when I finally heard him. I lay in my bed quietly as if I hadn't heard anything. He knocked again, and I hid under the pillow once more. He knocked again, even louder than he had the night before. I whimpered, but remained under the pillow. He knocked twice more. After that, things got quiet. I no longer had the feeling that I was being watched.
No.
I pulled my head out from under my pillow and slowly looked out the window. Nothing. Just my backyard. I laughed. I laughed so hard that Little tears began to slip out of my eyes. He was somebody else's problem now. I looked at the clock and noticed that I had only been awake for about 15 minutes and turned over to get back to sleep. I had just fallen into that uncertain stage where dreams mingle with reality when I heard the distant click of a door. My back door. Something had just entered into my house from the outside.
No, please.
Something from my backyard.
No, God, please, no.
I knew it was him. I listened quietly as his footsteps made their way from my kitchen to my dining room to the short hallway outside of my bedroom. He was slowly, patiently making no attempts to hide his presence. When he knocked at my door, I almost vomited. I had to do something, anything. I was paralyzed with fear. He knocked again. Trembling, I pulled the pillow back over my head.
Oh my God!
All that could be heard was the sound
something
of
knocking at the door.
knocking, and a digital clock humming quietly to itself. I was so tired.
Just kidding, I knock on my door. So yeah, that was super. No, please. No, I don't want noise no more. Please, no more. If y'all want more, please like, subscribe. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. That was creepy. That was super creepy. So yeah. That was super creepy, and yeah, bye guys. I'm gonna get paranoid nighttime now.